Second time lucky. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much for welcoming me to Turkey today. When I was first asked to give a talk today, I was slightly nervous in a way. Not necessarily because of the talk itself, but more in a way, a TEDx or a TEDxYouth or a TED Talk itself is supposed to be a look at your life and a look at what you've done and achieved and try to impart some of that knowledge and wisdom and share those ideas. And at 25, well, what do I have to give to yourselves? Also, 18 months ago, I gave my first TEDx talk at the University of Bath, so I can't give the same talk again. So what I want to try and do today is talk a bit about the story of sort of where I've come from and what I've done, and what I've learned along the way, and also look at those 18 months. Those 18 months from graduating from university, out of academic life, and actually going into the real world, and finding out what real life is about. So I suppose my story really starts at university. I studied architecture, which I suppose is not really the normal route to becoming an entrepreneur. Do we have any architects in the room today? Any aspiring architects? Oh, there's one, thank goodness for that. So I mean, the gentleman at the back, if you know what the architecture education is, it's really fantastic as a course and as a degree, and it opens your mind up. But you spend all your time building these little models and designing these little things, and the thing is you actually never get to build anything. However, in my second year at university as an undergraduate, I got that opportunity. I could either do a fancy project in the UK that would sort of never get built, or actually go out and spend 6 months designing and 6 months out in South Africa building a school out there. So I thought, you know, I might as well go and do the latter and go off to Africa. And generally, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I turned up at a little township called Jubiton, just outside of Klerksdorp, about an hour and a half south of Johannesburg. Second time lucky. Don't worry, we'll get on it. There we go, perfect. So hopefully you can just about see it. This is the site that we were on in Klerksdorp, in the township, and as you can see, it was sort of a basic piece of ground, and there was 20 of us as volunteers and students that didn't really know what we were doing or what I was about. But you can see here sort of just about make out this lapel into the roof, and we built the roof going up, and as a standard sort of architecture project, it had to have a crazy roof, and again you can see sort of the roof on here, and myself planting a tree. And during the course of sort of building this, I mean, blood, sweat and tears went into building the actual school, and we spent all this time fundraising the money for it and put a lot of effort into it. But I remember the first day that the school opened, and I remember the kids coming into the school, and we thought this was going to be like an incredible moment, but I remember they came in and this is what they had to play with, just tires and stuff. And I looked at the school that we built, and yes, it looked great for photographs and on the university prospectus, but actually, we hadn't built a school, we just built a shell. The bits that made the school were missing, and I looked and it had cool chipboard walls for the architecture design, but actually like the tables and the books and the station was missing. And I sort of looked at what we'd done and spent all this time doing and developing, and sort of thought, what was the point, you know? We should have spent all that time, all that money, actually going and kitting out this first school that they had and kitting them out for life. And it really sort of stuck with me, and I kind of became slightly disenfranchised by charity and not really life, but by the world in a way. And I graduated from university and actually decided to turn down some jobs in the UK, and in the end took up a job working for a British company in their office in China. And this was about 5 years ago, so it was a little bit crazy to do at that time. I turned up in a city, I turned up in a city called Shenzhen, which is in Dongguan province. If anyone knows sort of the geography of China, it's sort of on the border with Hong Kong, and it has a population of 19 million people. I mean, that's like 1/3 of the UK in one city. And it was an amazing experience. I didn't speak a word of Mandarin when I got there, nobody spoke a word of English. When I first arrived, the MTR had 2 stops on that line and 3 stops on the other line, which is the underground. Now you go back now and they've got about 200 stops, and the underground goes for an hour that way and 2 hours that way. But it was an incredible experience, and it probably was a step I wouldn't have taken if I hadn't gone to Africa at the first stage. When I was in China, I'd travel around a lot, whether it be to the north of China or the south of the Philippines or Cambodia and Laos. And again, I would go into these schools that had been built by NGOs or charities, and I'd look at them and sort of, a lot of them were missing the basic bits that made a school. I remember in the school in South Africa, like, a little boy came up to me with a piece of newspaper and a big blue paintbrush, and that's what he had, and I sort of thought, you know, is there a way that we can somehow do something where it can raise some money for the school equipment, but not be a charity, not keep relying on donations and keep going and asking my mum and dad for a sponsored walk or a sponsored run, or I think they're going to be sick of it. So I wanted to try and find a different way, and I stumbled over sort of a little village in Cambodia that was making a very basic sort of bag out of recycled cement bags. And I looked at it and I thought, you know, we changed that a little bit, did this a little bit different, made iPad cases, laptop cases, we can actually do something with this. And the idea was initially to take 50 bags, which was 1 month's rent that I'd saved up, with the aim to sell them to my friends in Hong Kong and use the money to donate some school kids back to the school in South Africa. And again, you can see in this picture, these are sort of some of the cement bags that are just lying everywhere. I mean, this is literally like 3 football fields worth of these cement bags that literally go to waste. And the idea is that we work with local ladies who train up to turn these bags into products and bags, and not only does that sort of give them training, but it also allows us to have some great products out of what would be sort of useless material. And this is El Pompu, who is one of sort of the chief ladies in the village. And the way it works is that each lady learns how to make a whole product, so and the whole range, not just like a little bit on a production line. I mean, I used to live 2 minutes from Dongguan, well, 20 minutes from Dongguan, which is where most of the world's stuff is made. And the idea of this is actually, it's only a stepping stone. The idea is that each lady learns how to do it, and then a couple of them actually got better jobs as tailors in the city. This is Ray, who's another one of our ladies, and most of the ladies that we work with are either widowed or have lost their husbands to, not lost them, but they're in the army. So they get a subsistence allowance, which allows them to live, but they don't have any extra income. And the idea of this is that each lady can work at home, can make the bags when she wants to make them, and also is able to look after her children, because that's a really important thing in Cambodia. And this is the family I work with, so just on the right-hand side is Pri. He's sort of my go-to man in Cambodia. He's probably the best designer I know. I can sketch something down on a piece of paper, send it off to him, and he'll come back with something 10 times better. In the middle is May, who is his wife and deals with all the finances in the village, so I suppose a flip around of what you would normally expect. And then their children, when I first met them, the boy in the middle was about this big, and the other one didn't exist. And that has been one of the best things about it, is seeing sort of a family in a village develop. And the idea being that we sell them, so we sell them in the West, we sell them in department stores, we sell them on planes, and we even sell them through reps. One of them is here tonight and kindly invited me. But fundamentally, the idea is that every bag that we sell, we donate a school kit back. So these are some of our school kits that we donate in Cambodia, and as you can see, they're made out of the same material as our bags, and they get sort of school kits in them, and again, some in Tanzania, and some in Kenya. But one of the nicest things about the whole experience for me and this whole thing of life in motion is, in a way, it's the people who've got involved along the way that have made it worth it. And it's taking those opportunities and experiences that have really grown it. This is an example from this summer where we had 3 guys who went out and drove across from London all the way to Mongolia on the Mongol Rally. And they took some bags out, and they also raised a lot of money for some of the organisations that we work with to train up the teachers. So you can see some of the pictures there. But one of the things I've learned in a personal way is that the more interesting the thing you do, the more doors that open. And in a selfish way, over the last few years, there's some incredible doors have opened, from meeting Bill Clinton at Google's World Conference after winning their World Competition for Business, through to having lunch with Richard Branson. And I mean, it's those sort of experiences that I don't think I would have ever had if I hadn't taken that first step of going to Africa and the second step of going to China. And I think that is what the world is about. It's about taking these challenges and taking these opportunities. But fundamentally for me, it's about the village that we work with in Cambodia. That for me is the most important bit. And in a way, this is my philosophy in business, that when I grew up, I used to read books about the sharks of business and how to do business and how to make the biggest profit, but actually that's not what business is about. Business is about connections, it's about community, it's about making relationships. It's the one thing that transcends politics, race and religion and allows you to deal and be friends with a village in Cambodia that doesn't speak the same language, doesn't have the same religion, whether that be in a lecture theatre at university or whether that be in a skyscraper in Hong Kong. And I think that's one of the keys, that in fact technology has allowed the world to become a lot smaller and has allowed to link each other. I myself run Elephant Branding remotely off the phone. We have a warehouse in Bristol, and everything, each day I get a message saying how many items we sold and how many items we've got in stock, and actually that frees up my life to come and here and speak to the sales tonight, or to go and spend time at the village. And also it means that I have a normal corporate job. So I run Elephant Branding as a hobby in the evenings, and my philosophy is better than playing on the PlayStation. That being said though, it isn't really a hobby, it's more of a passion. It's something that I love, and I genuinely, it gets me up in the morning and gets me going forward, moving forward, and especially in these last 18 months after leaving academia full time in a way, it's become even more prevalent. So this Christmas I went back to Cambodia. In a way it's the closest I have to family in Asia. And I spent time at the village, and again we went out and did a donation trip, and these are some of the school bags going out. But fundamentally it was about spending time with the village and spending time with the family that I work with there, because for me that's what is the most rewarding thing about it, seeing things grow. And again, you can see this is the picture from this time, and the house is a bit bigger and everyone's a bit more grown up. And that's been one of the nicest things about it. And fundamentally that's one of my messages, that I don't think business has to be this cutthroat thing, but business is about relationships, it's about family. And you're going to see some pictures. Now, that being said, when I look at my life, I have a good corporate job, and I have this on the side in a way, but is that enough? When I was on the plane on the way over here, I read a little quote which I'd like to read out to you. Now it's on the back of a Turkish Airways sit back, all that. Ultimately, is life a vision of self-image, where one can determine an ideal of what one has done and accomplished to improve the life one has lived? If so, the fear of death could be the fear of not becoming who one planned to be. And in a way, as a TED is supposed to be a personal reflection of where you're coming from, where you've gone, I can relate that to a lot in a way. It's great to have money and have the nice houses and nice cars and what have you, but fundamentally it's about doing something you enjoy. When I gave this talk last time, I spoke about two identical seeds that the farmer plants in the ground. One is planted in normal soil and gets water and light, and the second in a pot, which again gets water and light. The farmer goes away and comes back 2 years later. The first seed that is planted in the ground was grown to sort of 3 meters tall. The second seed that was planted in the pot is only about 3 feet tall. And in a way, the identical seeds have the same starting life, but the pot has constrained them. It's not allowed it to grow and develop. When I spoke last time, I described that as being a bit like the babies and poverty constraining them, but in myself I can reflect and think, you know what, actually maybe that's me. It's kind of a 9 to 5, the job that constrains you. It doesn't allow you to go and do what you want to do. When I look at the village in Cambodia, they're prepared to take their risks, they're prepared to do things. If you look at a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they've either come from some money, which has allowed them to go forward, or they come from absolutely nothing. And it means that if you come from nothing, you have less to lose. And even if you have a job and you have, nice things, it's still a scary thing to lose. So what my advice would be is that if you get the chance to start your own business, I know many people here are going into university or maybe coming to the end of it, but actually university is the best time to start your own business. It doesn't need to be the next app, it doesn't need to be the next Facebook, but if you see a problem that you experience around your lives, you know what, put a bit of effort into it and try and solve it, and just get involved. So my advice would be jump out of your pot and just do it, and maybe I need to too. Thank you.